The federal government's got a new religion. It's called obedience. For a government that never shuts up about the so-called separation of church and state, they sure seem awfully eager to get their grubby little mitts all over your church. Now, here's a story you haven't heard reported anywhere else because the legacy media is too busy chasing Carney around half-empty parking lots to notice when the government crosses a constitutional red line. Carney, liberals, are bankrolling an organization called Rainbow, Faith, and Freedom. Sounds harmless, right? Just another happy-sounding double rainbow hugs for everyone outfit. Wrong. This scandal was first brought to light by Jojo Ruba of Redeeming Conversations, a voice of sanity in a culture that would rather you just stay asleep. Now, without his digging, you wouldn't even know this was happening. Rainbow, Faith, and Freedom's entire mandate, spelled out right on their own website, is to change religious beliefs. Not support, not accommodate, change. Their second pillar literally says they want to transform religious attitudes and practices related to sexuality. It shall be the creation and use of faith-based educational and other resources. These resources will help the movement spread the message of acceptance and inclusiveness into churches that don't want it. And thanks to your tax dollars, they're doing it. Pillar 3 shall deal with the existence of religious-based 2SLGBTQ plus discrimination in Canada. This will be accomplished by developing and publishing a rating system for measuring inclusion and welcome of 2SLGBTQ plus people in local faith communities. Resources will be provided to help faith communities achieve this goal. And thanks to your tax dollars, they're doing it. Here's how deep the rot goes. In 2022, Rainbow, Faith, and Freedom got $400,000 from the federal government for a 24-month project called Ending Religious-Based Discrimination in Ontario's Faith Sector. In 2024, they scored another nearly $500,000 to target religious senior facilities. That's nearly $900,000, almost $1 million, funneled straight into an activist group whose job it is to reprogram churches and faith-based entities into political echo chambers. But it gets even worse because they're not preaching. They're building a database, a government-funded registry of churches, synagogues, mosques, and temples. Now, yes, LGB people probably want to know how their denomination feels about their lifestyles. Sure, I get it. However, the government is the one funding this highly political list because the government can't constitutionally do this work. They're tracking who's obedient and who's not. And now we know exactly why, because while you were distracted, the Liberals floated a plan to strip churches and religious charities of their charitable status if they don't bow to the new woke orthodoxy. The Canadian Conference of Catholic Bishops saw the writing on the wall, warning that the government's proposal would effectively punish religious groups for holding traditional beliefs. Think about it. First, the government pays activists to create a blacklist of churches. Then they use that blacklist to financially cripple any house of worship that won't kneel before their new gods of gender ideology. And then they have the nerve to call this all inclusion. This is exactly what the Communist Party of China does to the Catholic Church. In China, the state builds databases. They fund compliant churches. They blacklist and punish the faithful. They rewrite Holy Scripture to glorify the communist regime. Here in Canada, the Liberals are doing the same thing, just slower, with pastel logos and press releases that sound a little bit like therapy sessions. This is creeping religious persecution. Today it's a rainbow database and a lost tax receipt. Tomorrow it's fines, prosecutions, and the criminalization of Orthodox sermons. Because make no mistake, if the government can fund activists to change your faith today, they can punish you for refusing to change tomorrow. This isn't freedom. This is not inclusivity. It's not compassion. It's a hostile takeover of theology by the state. They don't just want your taxes. They don't just want your pickup truck, your beef, your guns, your farm, or your free speech. They want your soul. And if we don't stop them now, they'll turn every house of worship in this country into just another office of the Liberal Party of Canada. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. Friends, we've worked really hard on this election campaign, covering it from every corner of this country. If you'd like to see and support all of our coverage, please go to campaign2025.com.